by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AIM Impact on Your Health. AIM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AIM Impact on Your Health, well, that's heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AIM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in today. Well, in preparation for a visit that she'll be making just a couple of days to the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group, our special guest today is one going to be talking about, well, let me put it to you this way. You all have various forms of insurances out there. You call them health plans. There are multiple ones, some things like Blue Cross. How about UPMC? How about Gateway? Well, how about the plan that our guest is talking about today? Seems like it may have some advantages over your current plan. Well, she calls it God's health plan. And make a heck of a salesman by using some of these high-powered words such as God's health plan. We're going to be talking about God's health plan for you from her perspective. Her name is Ricki Pepin. She's going to be the featured speaker up at the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group. Our guest today, giving you a little bit of a peek and peer into and titillate you a tad in order to encourage you to go on up to see her. That's at 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening. But our guest today, Ricki Pepin, we'll get right with her right after the first break. Now, where the rest of the month is shaping up, and as we move into the month of May, is also correspondingly shaping up. She goes something like this. On Wednesday here in the morning, we'll be here same time, same place. You won't have to go anywhere. Just turn on the radio and dial us up. We're going to have Mr. Brian Foltz with us. He represents a pretty noteworthy company in the supplement industry referred to as Standard Process. We're going to be talking about some of the supplements additional to our last discussion with him now a couple months ago, and particularly focusing on thyroid and other elements that I hope you enjoy. That'll be on Wednesday. We'll come to the end of the month here by the time Friday rolls around, and by the time we return back next month on Monday, we're going to have, I guess on the 4th, Susan Smith-Jones returns. Talking more about her cleanses, spring house cleaning, She's going to deal with more issues regarding the skin as well as detoxification. And then, who can help but see on my calendar, an interesting week, the second week in May, Dr. Ed Condrat coming to town, bringing his whole dog and pony show with him. Now, he does treatment seminars all over the country, and he certainly does his share here back in his hometown of Pittsburgh. If you have an eye condition that is just not responding to current conventional therapy, and you're pretty frustrated about the whole thing, I think you might be wanting to take Dr. Ed Condra up on his actual treatment seminars. Going to be held here in my office May 9, 10, and 11. I have observed these from not afar. Really, every time he's come in the past, I've been a part of his general treatment general seminar, which will also hold here. But I have noticed the frustration on the part of you out there where your eye conditions are involved, just not getting the results that you're looking for. And with conventional therapy, the constraints of that therapy oftentimes leaves you to the point where you're just told, well, there's nothing more that can be done. And guys like Dr. Ed Condrat will take that as a challenge and has developed some pretty unique ways of treating these seemingly endpoints in your vision but believe me, they're not endpoints at all. So 9, 10, and 11 is a treatment seminar. Now we're going to have a general seminar for those who are interested in meeting Dr. Condrat. You can also meet me on the 9th at 6 to 8 o'clock here in the office. We changed it just a tad. Normally we always held these on a Sunday, but as you would well know, the 8th of May, the Sunday, is Mother's Day, and so we had to switch some things around. So in either case, whether you'd like to be a part of our just general seminar held for 2 hours here in the office, getting a chance to meet both of us, getting a chance to get all your questions answered about your own particular cases, sort of a free consultation, if you will, open air format, or if you want to be actually in part of a seminar itself, the treatment seminar itself, there's an 800 number that you'll want to get a call to today. You got to wait a bit now because they're not awake out there in Phoenix just yet. In fact, you have to wait probably sometime around noon before you call this 800 number to either A, reserve a seat at the general seminar, or B, reserve a treatment slot in the treatment seminar. 1-800-430-9328. The thing we'll end up doing is on Friday we'll try to get a hold of Ed to speak with us before he makes the big move to come on out east here to Pennsylvania and make the last couple of comments before he actually does arrive. And we'll let that go at that. Also in May, we've got Dr. David Brownstein coming back. He's going to be talking about thyroid disease. I mentioned, and I'm saying that a complete change around has occurred, or just a newly introduction to a concept with thyroid disease really does need to be challenged with respect to the applicability to the male and not only the female, which has so often happened in my practice. So I'm putting the challenge to you men out there, those especially that listen to this show, get a couple of basal body temperatures for me, and let's see how you stack up. I have a whole host of them, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women who have given me basal body temperatures that will allow us to really get a start having a discussion about their thyroid disease. Let's see what this kind of a spotlight on the male population does with respect to what can be revealed with one of the only two ways there is of diagnosing thyroid disease, in my opinion. And it certainly is not the use of those lab tests. And I think Dr. Brownstein has supported that and backed that up with a lot of documentation in his work entitled Thyroid Disorders, where the lab tests just don't cut it. The lab tests refer to what is in the blood, not what's in the cell, and it's what's in the cell that really counts. Anyway, Dr. David Brownstein going to be with us on the 13th of the month, and there are a couple other guests that we just don't have inked yet, and I won't even mention them, but I'll be talking to the PR group today, and more than likely get those established as the month of May comes around. Okay. Looks like we've got a match. Let's take a short break. And in the interim, what about that health plan I was talking about? Seems like a heck of a sale to me. Going up against UPMC and Gateway seems like a piece of cake when you're talking about the replacement God's health plan. Well, the author of God's health plan, at least the interpreter for us today, Ricki Pepin, will be back with her. Also the featured speaker at the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy. Be right back in just a moment.
Honey, just got the word. The company's new health plan is $5,000 deductible. We have to make sure nobody gets sick this year. Remember what those doctor's visits cost for last year's colds and flu? Oh, sorry, I gotta go. Love you.
We can do this. We can cut the fast food lunches, soda? That's a lot of sugar. We could all take that evening walk. And hey, I heard a program about fruit. Fruit of the Spirit. What did they say? 1 ounce, the equivalent of 5 servings of fruit with herbs and minerals. We could add some to our breakfast protein shake. Fruit of the Spirit is a unique whole fruit puree. Fruit of the Spirit contains fresh fruit native to the Holy Land and alkalizing minerals from the Dead Sea. With no added sugars, Fruit of the Spirit is a unique product from 5 years of work from science-based nutritional experts. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
A little bit of a break, a commercial break.
Confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has got another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you on this Monday post-Easter vacation. I hope all your holidays went well for you. Solemn as an occasion as Easter is. Today we're back at it, folks. It's Monday morning. We're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and titillating you a bit, we hope, to go on up to the Butler Group, Freedom Choice and Cancer Therapy Group, on Wednesday. Each and every month, you know, they got a new speaker up there. This particular month, a young lady, and we always like to bring their featured speaker on our show just prior to when they come to town. This lady is Pittsburgh bound, but she has made quite a name for herself in the arena of education, in the arena of health. She bios herself as a Christian author, a teacher, and a mom. And if those qualifications aren't enough, she'll dazzle you today with talking about health in a way maybe that neither of us have ever heard before. Hopefully you'll enjoy her. Her name is Ms. Ricki Pepin. She's with us right now. Let's say good morning and welcome aboard, Ricki. Thanks for allowing us to invade your morning here.
Oh, I am just excited to be with you.
Well, you know, we're excited. You're Pittsburgh bound. You're going to be coming up here to the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy group. They have a monthly speaker that comes in, and I'm always interested in how Sylvia, I don't know how she finds these interesting guests, but you're a very intriguing young lady with respect to the bio that I have in front of me. You label yourself in not an unflashy way, let's say. You say Christian author, teacher, and a mom. But let's get into some nuts and bolts, Ricki, about what it is that the message that you're going to be bringing to those who come up to the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group lecture on Wednesday evening will be. How is it that you come to have an interesting story to tell? Because I look at your bio, there's some interesting points back here. It leads us to the point where you're out on the lecture tour quite a bit. What is it that you do?
Well, my story itself is not unique, but I think the solution is what makes it so unique and what makes it so hopeful for people, because I had a chronically ill son, basically from birth until age 19, where he was just constantly getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And no matter how many doctors we took him to, no matter how many tests they ran, no matter how many medications they put him on, not only did nothing make him well, they couldn't even put a diagnosis on it. And I finally, at age 19, they'll hear more details, obviously, at the lecture. You got to come to hear the whole story, or the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey used to say. But the upshot of my story was that we had no place else to turn when he was 19 years old, and I began doing my own research. And through that research, I discovered some amazing things, and what I did was put together a book that teaches people how to become their own experts.
Well, the interesting thing that I see is education. Well, because you homeschool, I think I was looking at the bio, trying to maybe piece together how it is you come to the point that you were just discussing a moment ago, helping people with their health issues. If I gather right, it really is how it was that you came to be educated. You homeschooled all your children, and the approaches that you took with that kind of an education environment at home is what you ultimately used and applied to the health realm. Do I get the message right?
You did. That's exactly right. I mean, when I was doing research, the most frustrating thing for me was you read these books, you read these articles, you read these medical journals, and every expert has their method that's going to make you better. And it probably works for them, but you know what? It oftentimes doesn't work for you. Two women can have fibromyalgia. They go to the doctor. The doctor gives them the same protocol, works perfectly for one, and it doesn't touch the other one. One expert says, eat eggs. They're the perfect protein. The next one says, are you kidding? They're loaded with cholesterol. Don't touch them. Everything conflicted. And so I desperately needed something that was going to work for my son. And I discovered along the way this principal approach to education, which is a method that our founding fathers used. And it's a way that you can do your own research, and it gets the root. It gets to the heart of whatever it is you're studying, and will help you find the absolute truth on it and figure out what you need to do.
Well, that thing that you refer to as the principal approach, you say our founding fathers used this approach. Describe what a principal approach to education is, and then maybe we can all learn on how you took that same approach and applied it to health issues, which you appear to have educated yourself and enlightened many others, and especially those will be up at the Freedom of Choice group on Wednesday. What is a principal approach to education? Because I'm an educator. Way before I was a doctor, I don't believe I've ever heard the term before.
Well, most people haven't. It really slipped into obscurity, unfortunately. But basically, it involves 7 biblical principles, defining your terms from Noah Webster's original 1828 dictionary, the very first American dictionary, which has been republished, so people can get it if they want. And then it asks leading questions. And those leading questions and Bible verses and defining your terms and all of that comes together. And I do a demonstration of that in the lecture so that you can see how that works with health. But you can do it with any subject, as I said, to find out what you want to learn. And it becomes yours. It's so personal. You're designing. You're looking up the words. You're designing the questions. You are pinpointing exactly what it is that you want to learn.
And you say this was a standard and routine way that education was accomplished by the forefathers and founding fathers of our country?
That's true. It was also known as the notebook method because it involves a lot of research, but it also involves writing a lot of this stuff down because by the time you're done, you've got your own personalized journal for whatever information that you are searching out. And you can go back and read that journal over and over again, add to that journal, take pages out, put pages in. It becomes your own personal diagram.
Now, because I think you got a firm footing with respect to this principal approach with when educating your children, I don't know what the rules are when it comes to homeschooling. Do they just let you say, take it away, Mom, and do it your way, and then we'll test you at the end? Or how is it that all works? Maybe we can all benefit from knowing how it is you stumbled across this by finding out what kind of latitude was afforded you when it came to dealing with your own children's education at home.
Well, every state has different regulations, so that's a pretty broad question that individuals would have to answer on their own. But generally speaking, when I was homeschooling, and you have to realize I was homeschooling back in the pioneer days when it wasn't real popular in the 1980s and early 90s. And pretty much you did your own thing, but you did have to let them know kind of what your curriculum was, and they had the authority to come in, or they took the authority to come in and test your children periodically to see how they did on standardized tests.
And so, in utilizing this approach, and I think the biblical references are the ones that probably are the most interesting to me, because, boy, if there's anything lacking in a public education, it's the use of biblical references.
I'll tell you something else, too, and that's in addition to, coupling those biblical references with defining the words in those biblical references, according to Webster's 1828 dictionary, is truly an eye-popping experience.
Oh, you are teasing me too much. You've got to give me.
It is unbelievable. I mean, you're going to see some of the things that people learn. They sit there, and literally they are almost coming out of their chairs like, no way. It is unbelievable.
So how did you stumble across it? Because as an educator, certainly eluded me. It's bypassing us all, yet you appeared, I don't know where you came across it.
I actually discovered it. We were living out in Northern Virginia at the time, outside of the Washington, D.C. area. We're a military family. We moved a lot, and my husband was in the Air Force for 30 years. And the D.C. area, of course, educationally has just got all kinds of things that you can choose from there. And I went to a lecture series there that was actually studying history and our founding fathers. And learned of these ladies who back in the 1940s and 50s even found this when they were working in the government and getting disgusted with what they were finding within the government and the way it was running. And they started doing more research on it and pulled together some books that they wrote, and they actually instituted, or resurrected, I should say, this principal approach to education and started offering these books and their research to anybody who wanted to use them. And it has developed considerably today from just some books that you can use to where they've actually got curriculum. It's utilized by homeschoolers. There are some principal approach schools across the nation, though there are not a lot of them, because the bottom line to this method, though it is, I believe, the most excellent way in the world to truly learn something, it's also hard work.
Funny how hard work, funny how that pays off, huh?
That interesting how that works.
Interesting. Okay, so there's this thing called, and by the way, when we say principal approach, folks, it's in caps. This is the name given to this particular endeavor. I put it in quotation marks. It isn't just a generic principal approach. This is the principal approach, if I'm gathering this correctly, as had been written many 100 years ago and used by our forefathers. Now, you were so successful, I'm guessing, with being able to get across these concepts with your children in homeschooling, that for the crossover point now that we move into the health arena, when your child, now having achieved the age of 19, what was going on? You say he was infected all the time. When
he was little, he was the toddler that always had the ear infection. And no matter what we did, it would always keep coming back. And as he got a little bit older, by the time he was 7, he was having some serious sinus issues that got diagnosed as asthma. And then he went into all these respiratory infections. He would get headaches so bad that he could not focus his eyes to read. He would try to write, and he'd actually start to tremble like he had Parkinson's disease, that he couldn't even write a sentence or write a word without the pencil almost falling out of his hand. He went into convulsions for 3 days one time. I mean, the kid just had the freakiest symptoms in the world. His body would hurt so bad he could not get out of bed for days at a time. And this is a little boy who wants to be out climbing trees and playing baseball. And his whole life was like that. I mean, he'd have periods when they put him on drugs that he'd get better for a season, it seemed. But after 2-3 weeks, you could see here it's coming back again. And after a few more weeks, it was not only the same old, but it was worse than it was the time before. And that was the progression that we were on for 19 years. It was horrible. Had no life.
I can just imagine, as a physician, what an enigma your child and the health issues surrounding why he displayed what he displayed.
They didn't know what to do
Now
it.
it was a giant puzzle, and it was just as scary to them as it was to you, and I can't even imagine
Well,
how.
the interesting thing is, when your kid's sick like that, in the beginning you just do what you got to do, but after a few years of this, you're going from this just being annoying or bothersome or troublesome to fear sets in. And fear is not a good place for anybody to be. And then I found myself in my early and mid-30s, I started coming down with symptoms. And that's what we talk about, how fear allows things like that to happen. And in 30, I was having arthritis symptoms to where it was making it difficult for me to walk. I was having migraine headaches that made me bedridden 3 to 10 days out of every month. I had some precancerous conditions going on. My body was now falling apart from all of the stress under trying to make his body get better.
Well, at what point then, having felt so good about this principal approach that you utilized in educating your children homeschool-wise, what was the aha moment?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Oh, no, you got
The lecture for that one.
the aha moment. Was there an aha moment?
Oh, there absolutely was, and it was very dramatic because, we had put together, this research, and through the years, I hadn't been sitting on my hands. I'd been trying to do a lot of things along with the doctors, and nothing was really having any lasting or really impactful effect. And, yeah, it was a very dramatic thing of crying out to God, and the phone rang, and the answer was on the other end, and it was the last piece of the puzzle. It was quite dramatic.
And so a moment strikes, and you're not gonna let us into what the moment was, but a moment strikes, and at that moment, from that point, you go, you know what? I can do the same thing that works so well with my children and educating. I can use the same thing to conquer this health issue. And I guess maybe the overall message, you can use this principal approach to solve any problem as long as you apply whatever it is that you learned so well with that stuff with educating your children to begin with.
Well, the underlying premise as it relates to health, well, the answer, first of all, to your question is yes. And the underlying premise to this whole issue with health is that God created these bodies to heal themselves. But we've got to cooperate with Him and cooperate with them to find out what those things are and do them in order for that to happen.
Fascinating work, young lady. I'm very much interested, and you have actually titillated me beyond belief with respect to how you came across these discoveries. Let's take a short break. When we come back, the whole experience evidently became so commonplace to you that you ultimately wrote a book. I want to talk about that book when we return. I mentioned in our area, big health plans around here, things like UPMC, Blue Cross Blue Shield. But I think your sales approach is a little better than any other I've ever seen, because you got a health plan you call God's health plan.
There you go.
What a sales job that is. That's unfair. We're going to find out more about it, folks. We got Ricki Pepin with us. Get ready to meet and see her. She's coming into town here in a couple of days. Be back in a moment. We're going to find out about this health plan. Be back in a moment with Ricki.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Have you been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in the formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Fruit of the Spirit. The blessings of Fruit of the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith, but Fruit of the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you on this Monday version of the show, and invited guest today is one, well, folks, she's Pittsburgh bound. She's got a lot of energy there and a lot of information to impart to you. She wants to have you come up and visit her at the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group on Wednesday evening. It is a switch this month. Normally held on Thursday, third Thursday to boot. It's all screwed up, but look, it's at the same place, 7 o'clock, Days Inn, just south of Butler, Route 8, Ricki Pepin, inbound to Pittsburgh, to talk about what she's learned and has helped her conquer a lot of difficult issues in her own life. I think she feels that it's something you can utilize in your own. We're with her this morning. Ricki, you're still there, my dear?
I'm still here.
Well, when you took on the difficult task, maybe at the beginning of your journey with you really had no other place to go. Conventional medicine with your 19-year-old son had really failed you and failed him miserably. And when you what was it when you decided to make this path that you knew that you were on the right path, and how long did it take for utilizing your principled approach to the health arena, did it take you to finally conquer these health issues with your son?
Well, as I said, it was a lot of years of research, but when the final piece of the puzzle came together for him, we had it conquered in 2 months after 19 years.
Really?
But everybody, I don't want anybody, again, that's our unique situation. Every one of us is fearfully and wonderfully made, very distinct, unique individuals, and so everybody's story is going to be different.
Okay, but still, to have a 19-year-old problem collapse in a couple of months,
it was amazing.
Which by anybody's stretch of the imagination is just inconceivable to think that it could be done. Yet it certainly was done in your case, and that ultimately leads to you putting this down, writing it out, and saying that you have a message, a strong message to bring to others. It leads you to the publication of a book. That book referred to, interestingly enough, God's Health Plan, The Audacious Journey to a Better Life. Tell us about your motivations for writing the book, why you took that project on, and the book, as I can appreciate it from the bio I've received, has really moved on, and it has moved into the arenas that must make you feel quite proudly about that work. Spend some time with us talking about your book.
Well, I'm just excited that it's going where it's going, and I just think it's God's hand on it, honestly, because He's the one that directs the affairs. We walk it out, He directs and opens the doors. When I started bottom line was, or how it got started, I should say, is after David got well, I started getting asked to lecture in places because, again, being military, we've moved a lot of people knew me. We touched a lot of lives through all those years of sickness. And people saw and heard what happened, and it's like, well, come and talk to our group. And so I would, and afterwards the people were like, just, wow, that was a lot of really great information. Did you write that down anyplace? And it was like, well, yes, in bits and pieces all over the place on my bookshelves and my files at home. And eventually, after 4 different groups in 4 different places in 4 different states, and none of them knew each other, and everybody kept saying, you need to write this down, I realized they were right, because it is a lot of information, and there's resources, and there's references. It's a mini encyclopedia, how to do it yourself, with places that have checked out, or that I've checked out for you, that are good, solid research places, because again, there's so much conflicting information, people are confused. And so the book, God's Health Plan, was born. And there have been people, I've been invited to speak at a couple of medical seminars even, and sometimes doctors in the audience have bought a case of these books to share with their patients, because they've all got those patients, but they just don't know what to do with them. There's other organizations, educational groups are using this as part of their curriculum sometimes. It's a college course online. Local high schools sometimes, not regular high schools, Christian high schools have taken this on and used it, or have become in talks to their group. So it hits a lot of realms. I mean, people say, oh, you wrote a health book. Oh, you wrote a diet book. Well, yes, but no. I mean, that's one piece of the puzzle. It's about how you eat, but it's also about environmental issues. It's about medical care practices. What do you allow doctors to do to your body? I mean, there are some things that just probably shouldn't be done. It's also about your thinking process. It's a spiritual aspect to health. What you think matters to your health outcomes. This is just a multifaceted, hit every part health book, which is why I call it God's Health Plan, because he's the one that made it that way.
Well, I'm sure that the powers that be think that you're using unfair marketing practices when you go. Yeah, I think you got a real catchy phrase there, God's Health Plan, and I'm sure you're going to do well with it. To hear that the book has done so well, and then it has played its role with. I get the idea, by the way, of doctors buying cases of these books, and patients listening, people listening right now to us, having their own healthcare issues, have got to feel sort of light going off in their own mind, thinking, well, maybe, because I'm out here battling, and I'm not really doing well with the approaches that I'm taking, maybe, just maybe, God's Health Plan may be the plan for me in pursuing this principle approach, which I hope the book is a how-to. I hope it helps patients and people just be able to see there's a plan to follow. Is there a plan to follow in your book?
Well, there is, and as a matter of fact, if people go to I have a website, it's just my name, RickiPepin.com, and I put the entire first chapter of my book on the website, and that chapter explains exactly what the principal approach is and how it works, because not everybody wants to work that hard to figure out what they need to figure out. And so if they go to my website and read that chapter, they're going to know, oh, no way, I'm not going to put this much work into it, or they're going to read, oh, wow, this is just for me. And they'll know. So that's why I did that.
Well, the book is how long? I mean, you say, is it a primer that I can read as an overnight read? Is it a book that you have to use as a guide?
A little bit of both. It's just over 300 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, it's loaded with references and resources, but it's also got the applications. I walked out some of those applications to show you, for example, how to evaluate medical care practices. We walk out examples specifically of, okay, here's step 1 with the principal approach, here's step 2 with the principal approach, here's how you work through this, here's some examples of questions used. And it's all spelled out. And I've had people tell me it's like sitting down in the living room and talking with me. It's not hard to understand. It's not hard to read. Some people just pick it up and they look at a section on dairy and they look up and they want to see what does it say and where can I do research on that. Other people have just read cover to cover. One lady called me one night. She bought my book, and 2 days later she called me. She said, I haven't slept for 2 days. I read through your entire book. I said, don't do that. You got to read it again. It took me 10 years to put that together. You got to read it again. So, yes, you can read it from cover to cover. Yes, you can use it just looking stuff up.
Now, intertwined, because I'm getting the message loud and clear about the biblical connection,
right.
The divinity connection, but there appears to be some other motivation. I read here where you've got a couple passions, and one of them is involving patriotism.
That is true.
And so I would be remiss without saying and asking you how and what do you mean by why you feel so strongly and passionate about patriotism, and how is it that patriotism is intertwined in a principled approach to education as well as God's health plan? Because I got a feeling you worked it in pretty heavily, Ricki.
I did, and one of the things that I found in doing my research was that the government sometimes gets in the way of the health care choices that you want to make as an individual. And at first that was just frustrating and annoying, but as I continued to look into it, as I said, studying history and putting that principle approach into practice with founding fathers and with the way this country started, with our history and everything else, I did discover just that our history has been rewritten. People know that. There's revisionist history where they're leaving some things out, they're lying about other things. And what I found as I was doing this research is that the same thing is happening, believe it or not, with definition. There's an old saying, he who defines the terms wins the debate. And I found things, let me just give you one example. The word right, R-I-G-H-T, in a modern dictionary is defined as according to prevailing standards or conditions. Well, that's going to change like you change.
Yeah.
Noah Webster, who, by the way, was a master of 27 languages, and he not only does definitions, he takes great pains to do the etymology of a word. Where did it come from? What are its roots? Going back to where it started. And when he does and he uses scripture anytime it applies as well. So, I mean, when you read this guy's definitions, you come away going, wow. And his definition number 3 of the word right, is according to the will of God. Now that kind of cuts to the chase, doesn't it?
Well, it does. That takes it and makes it really finite.
Yeah, that just kind of really cuts it to the chase. So, I am involved with liberty groups and teaching Constitution classes as well because, again, you need to go back to the root cause, just like with health. You can put Band-Aids on stuff and take medicine, but if you don't find out what caused that in the first place and correct it, it's not going to get better. Same thing is true with this nation. So we're going after the things that we want to change, even those who are calling legislators, congressmen, whatever, and complaining about, well, we don't want you to vote for that bill because, and they come back and say, gee, thanks for your opinion. We'll keep your thoughts in mind. Oh, and by the way, I think it's a good idea because. And I ask people when I teach them, what did you just do? You exchanged opinions. So what? What you need to do is find out what is the truth, find out what is the law, find out what does the Constitution say, because those people took an oath to uphold the Constitution. And if you are talking with them and they are violating the Constitution, you do not just have a difference in opinion, you have a person who's violating the law on the other end.
Well, there's been about 8 different words you've used that have zinged in the last 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
With respect to health care and health issues. And as much as health care is smack dab in the middle of our political lives every day, I got to ask about Obamacare, okay? There's got to be some message that you want to bring to people with respect to, you talk about politics and those who define it first get to define. I mean, every time you threw out a phrase, I went, my God, are you following this, folks? Are you hearing this? And so I ask you, with respect to Obamacare, and I hope your husband isn't arrestable now because I know he's retired. He's now retired Air Force, so you can't get him into trouble, I guess.
Well, if I have, I've already done it.
You've already done it, and I'm sure he knows and loves you for it. What about this thing that we're on the precipice of here, or we're smack dab in the middle of, and you talk about the Constitution? Well, boy, that one sent one chill up my spine, and 2 judges in favor, 2 judges against. Where are we headed with this with respect to your principled approach?
Well, the bottom line of anything when I'm teaching the Constitution classes, and honestly the bottom line with anything, with any law that is made in this nation, is the question is, who likes it, who doesn't like it. The question is it constitutional? And there is no provision in the Constitution for the government to be involved in health care. We need to, that's another thing with this book is the bottom line I want to give to people is we need to become responsible for our own health care. We can't just keep going to the doctor and popping pills to cover up the things that are going after us. We need to become responsible to learn again, why is this happening? What can I do to work with my designer, to work with my body, to cooperate with the way God made this body to bring it back to health again, not just cover it up. And that's not the government's job. That's my job.
Well, I can see in how you're answering the question squarely where you come down with the government intervention in healthcare, which is what this entire battle is about. On one group, one side, the government needs to take care to give me. It's a nanny state issue,
Right.
and where there appears to be quite a number of folks out there who just love being on the recipient side of this. And then there's a group squarely coming down in your column, and I got to say, to be quite honest, I'm there. I'm with you with respect to constitutionality. How will this get resolved, Ricki Pepin?
Well, by education. I mean, a lot of people, as I'm talking to the liberty groups and stuff, they have the mindset, as you just described, that you're on the same page, and there's a lot of people, that's where their heartbeat is coming from, but they don't even realize as we start to go through these issues that they drank the Kool-Aid. They're getting their ideas, sometimes they're getting money from the government in places where they shouldn't. Again, the root question, what is the purpose of government? And as we go back and we define those terms using that principle approach again, we find that the purpose of government was simply to protect individuals, their rights, and their property. And that's all. It was never designed to provide goods and services. You don't have a right to education, and I'm sorry if I'm stepping on toes. You don't have a right to a house. You have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have a right to go after whatever you want to go after as long as it's legal. You have an equal opportunity to pursue happiness. You don't have a right to anybody else's hard-earned money.
Oh, your husband is safe. He's retired. I can see you. You have caused some sticky little situations to come up wherever you were, on whatever base you were on. My goodness gracious. Folks, we're with Ricki Pepin. Let's take a short break. When we come back, you may want to call up. You don't mind taking any questions, do you, Ricki?
No, that's fine.
You may want to call up and ask Ricki a question. 412-825-6262 is the number to do that. That's 412-825-6262. Folks, she's inbound. She's coming to town. You don't want to miss her. Be back in a moment with Ricki Pepin.
This is Secretary Courtney MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to AM Impact on Your Health here on a Monday morning version of the show. In the gun lap position, we're coming around the home stretch, and you may want to get on in with some of this conversation. We open it up to you if you got a mind to give us a call at 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. Our guest today is Pittsburgh bound. She's on her way to come to visit with you up at the Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group this coming Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock. Days Inn. The date is a little screwy, I know, this month, but nonetheless, same place, Days Inn, just south of Butler on Route 8 there on the right side at 7 o'clock. And I'm guessing, Ricki, you've got a lot of festivities planned. When those who are going to be coming up do come, what is it that they can expect to hear from you? What do you got planned for them up there on Wednesday evening?
Well, I've got a really good PowerPoint presentation that I've put together and a few hands-on things. So we're not just going to be lecturing. We're going to do some interesting stuff, pictures, graphs, hands-on, etc. Mostly, the large push, obviously, is about God's Health Plan. The book will be available there for sale, both discounts. I do not have credit card capability. I should mention that. People need to bring me either cash or a check if they want to purchase the book. I will also be bringing materials. The folks sponsoring this asked me to go ahead and just bring some pamphlets along about the Institute on the Constitution that we're talking about, if anybody wants to get more information on those classes. So the main crux of the evening, obviously, will be the book. However, I will have information on the Constitution as well.
Okay, and so up there, folks, don't want to miss her 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening. Ricki will be there, and she will tell you what the the thing that's really, I wish you'd let it go. All right, so we aren't going to know what the aha moment was, but she promises to reveal it to you if you come. Right, Rick?
That's right. You got to come to hear it.
You got to come to hear it. Now, information in the meantime, you got websites. You say the book is purchasable. Is it purchasable on your website?
Yes.
Give us some either 800 or website information that our listeners who might not be able to make it up there will still be able to benefit from at least your book and other things that you may have written.
Okay. My website is my name. Okay, www.Ricki Pepin, and that's spelled Ricki, P like Paul, P like Paul, I-N, only one in the middle, P-E-P-I-N. And you can go there and read about the book. You can see the places I've been. You can read the first chapter. You can buy the book there. It's available at all your standard online websites as well, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. Obviously, I would prefer that you contact me. I am the only one that will give you a bulk discount. And by bulk, even if you only buy 2 copies, I knock the price down significantly because I want you to give it to a friend. I want you to give it to somebody you love because people read it and they're thinking of all the people that they want to share this with. They buy a copy, and then 2 weeks later they're calling me and saying, I need 10 more of this. So they can do that best by calling me, and you can contact me through that website as well. There's a link, easy link.
All right, you're in the ready position. Whether they can actually make it or if they know they can't, folks, you can't get the book. Just go to the website and take it from there. As this book keeps making it around the horn now, this is in universities. It's a university course, for God's sake, at a couple places. I don't know where, but the fact that somebody thinks enough about this work to offer it as a university course is intriguing to me, and shows that others have picked up your gauntlet and have traveled with it and are making this. I guess it's probing the minds of students, which we all then become once we visit you, because you've got some great education you'd like to impart to us, and we have to become your student in order to be able to benefit from what you've learned.
Well, and the exciting thing is that as you take that step, the first step you make yourself do it. The second step is a little bit easier, and by the third step, you're on autopilot, and you can't wait to learn more.
So you've applied it, by the way, what else have you used your principal approach and applied it to? Education, all right. Health, anything else? How about your income taxes? Is there any way that you can use this approach to others that you have already tried?
Well, I actually use it in my own personal quiet time, too. You know, when you're studying Scripture and looking for deeper truths, you know, as I said, you know, whatever, economics, yes. I mean, whatever you want to learn more about, you can use this principal approach. And again, as people see it demonstrated on Wednesday, it's not hard to plug in. You know, again, naming your terms. What are you defining? What do you want to learn? Come up with some leading questions. What exactly is it that you want to learn? And as you write these things down and start to walk through steps of research and write them down, things start to get revealed to you in very often a very different way. I refer to it as looking at it with my principal approach glasses, because it's like, wow, I never thought of that before.
Okay, you may have a recipe, folks, to help you in so many other areas other than the health, but the health is certainly what has motivated so much of the writings and the revelations that have been forthcoming with this young lady, using something as tried and true as our forefathers' approach to educating is now applicable to other issues, and especially health. And I say it's unfair practices to use the term God's health plan, but God bless you for doing it, because I think it's a winner all the way around.
Well, the audacious journey to a better life is the subtitle, and that word audacious is interesting because when you look it up, it means daring or outside the box, and that's what this is about.
Well, I think there's another author, very well-known author, used the word audacious in the title of his book, too. I just wonder what the parallels may be, I wonder who we're talking about. Ricki, we've come to the end of our line here. We got bongos in the background. That signals our time out of here. I've really enjoyed speaking with you today. I hope our listeners have enjoyed hearing from you. And go on up and see your folks, Freedom of Choice and Cancer Therapy Group, on Wednesday at 7 p. She'll be waiting for you. Okay, folks. For now, then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney with Ricki Pepin saying so long for AM Impact on Your Health.
Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, MD, Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD. AHB reminds you not to forget America's veterans. Log on to thankyouvets.org and write a note of thanks to someone who served our country. A public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
T3 Live Blue-Green Algae is certified organic and kosher. Each of the trillions of cell walls in our bodies are made from essential fatty acids. D3 Live is rich essential fatty acids, especially omega-3 form. The hardest to find of all, even in natural foods. Researchers tell us most people are deficient in EFA. Omega-3 has anti-inflammatory properties and helps to maintain healthy cholesterol levels. Omega-3 is beneficial for the cardiovascular, immune, and nervous system.